to.
I'd like to call to order the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners. Roll call.
Jabin Singh,
Here.
McGuire. Is absent, sorry. McMurtry,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Moran,
Here.
Zhang, is running a little bit behind, and Ortega.
Aye. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Miller, land acknowledgement.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, their dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hopes of a better life, and some have lived on this land since time immemorial. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We stand here on the ancestral lands of the Dakota people. We also want to acknowledge the Ojibwe, the Ho-Chunk, and the other nations of people who also call this place home. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the treaties made by the tribal nations that entitle non-Native people to live and work on traditional Native lands. Consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public event.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion on the agenda of May 20th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Miller,
Aye.
Moran. Zhang is running a little late. Jabin Singh.
Aye.
McGuire is absent. McMurtry.
Aye.
And Ortega.
Aye. I'll entertain a motion on the minutes of May 13th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Miller,
Aye.
Moran.
Aye.
Zhang is running a little bit late. Jabin Singh.
Aye.
McGuire is absent. McMurtry.
Aye.
And Ortega.
Aye. Commissioner Miller, proclamation of Mental Health Awareness Month.
If I could please have the mental health team join me at the diocese. Love your guys' shirts. So thoughtful to come coordinated like that. Come on in. It's okay, you're gonna feel it. You're not gonna get here by yourself with me. Come on, just come up here. Promise I won't bite. Sophia will come join us up here, right? All right. So I stand here today to proclaim May as Mental Health Awareness Month in Ramsey County. And in doing so, I reaffirm our unwavering commitment to supporting the mental health and well-being of everyone in our community. Mental health is essential to overall health. It affects how we think, feel, and act, and influences how we handle life, relate to others, and make decisions. During this month, we shine a light on the importance of mental wellness and the reality of mental illness and the need for accessible, compassionate, and equitable care for all. We recognize that mental health challenges do not discriminate. They impact people of every age, race, background, and walk of life. That is why we must continue working together to break down stigma, increase awareness, and build systems that promote health, healing, connection, and support. Ramsey County remains committed to investing in services that empower individuals and families, support our workforce, and foster resilient communities. Together, we will continue to ensure that mental health is not just a conversation for May, but a priority every day of the year. Let us use this month to not only raise awareness, but to affirm our collective responsibility to create a culture where mental health is valued, supported, and understood. So I'm going to present the proclamation, and then I will read it as well. So, the proclamation reads, whereas mental health is a fundamental pillar of well-being and prosperity of every individual, family, and community, and its neglect leads to devastating consequences for public health, safety, and economic stability, and whereas mental illness profoundly impacts people of all ages, backgrounds, and communities, with youth facing increased rates of anxiety and depression, adults struggling with overwhelming stress and limited resources, and immigrant populations continue confronting systematic barriers to culturally responsive care, all of which demand urgent action. And whereas untreated mental health conditions result in lost potential, fractured families, increased homelessness, higher incarceration rates, and preventable tragedies that tear at the fabric of the community, making timely access to comprehensive and compassionate mental health care an absolute necessity. Whereas Ramsey County is steadfast in its commitment to fostering mental wellness by ensuring equitable access to high-quality mental health services that proactively engage individuals, build lasting relationships, and create pathways to recovery, transforming lives and strengthening a collective future. And whereas Ramsey County recognizes that workplace mental health is not just an option, but a necessity, and is dedicated to prioritizing the well-being of employees by providing the resources, education, and support they need to thrive, thereby enhancing both workforce productivity and community impact. And whereas reducing stigma and increasing awareness is not simply an act of advocacy, but a moral imperative that will determine whether those struggling in silence receive the life-saving care they need and deserve, now therefore be it proclaimed, the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners hereby declares May 2025 as Mental Health Awareness Month in Ramsey County, urging all residents, community organizations, and decision makers to take immediate and meaningful action to expand awareness, foster understanding, and commit to systematic change that ensures mental health support is available to all who need it, and it be further proclaimed that accountability is upheld to this commitment with a pledge to advance policies, invest in necessary resources, and create a future where mental health is treated with the same urgency and importance as physical health, leaving no member of the community behind. Thank you. Yay. If you guys would like to introduce yourself, if you want to say a few words.
Chair Ortega, Commissioners, and County Manager Becker. My name is Kenya Walker. I am the Social Services Deputy Director for Mental Health. Thank you for recognizing May as Mental Health Awareness Month. This year, the National Alliance on Mental Illness selected the theme, "In Every Story, There's Strength." For Ramsey County, this story includes transforming how we think about mental health and how we serve those who need support. Our strength is our residents, our community, our partners, and dedicated mental health staff. I believe our story is rooted in hope, a hope that says we can dismantle stigma, that we can change the way mental health care is delivered. This proclamation matters because it urges us to keep pushing. It's a renewed commitment, a declaration of faith that the system can be better and be better for everyone, no matter where they are on their journey. We continue to strive for a mental health system where there are no gaps in services, a system where outreach and prevention come first, where services in the community help people stabilize, rebuild, and find purpose and connection. Yes, the challenges are real, but they aren't new, and neither is our resolve. We are built for this. To our mental health staff, you are the heart of this work. As we continue to challenge the way we serve, hold on to hope. Know that our efforts matter. Know that you are seen and you are making a difference every single day. To our contracted providers, you're also in the trenches with us. Without you, our story is incomplete. You are walking alongside us, helping reshape a system with care, dignity, and healing. We are deeply grateful for your courage, your commitment, and your partnership. Each of us has a story, but what do we want our legacy to be? Let it be a legacy of action, a legacy of showing up, a legacy of choosing community, choosing compassion, and choosing people every single day. Our true strength is our community. That's what carries us forward. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Allie Beckman, and I am Senior Clinician for External Relations at the Center for Victims of Torture. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month. At CVT, we walk along survivors of torture, war, and political persecution who are new Americans now living in Ramsey County, seeking healing and safety. Our clients have experienced unimaginable pain, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. They come from political prisons, refugee camps, war zones, and places where basic human rights were stripped away. At CVT, we help them rebuild their lives through the provision of interdisciplinary services like psychotherapy, targeted case management, medical care, and social support. And through it all, we see resilience and hope. But it's hard right now. Many of our clients live in fear and uncertainty due to shifting immigration policies, rising xenophobia, and mounting barriers to services. Clients' past trauma from torture is compounded by current headlines criminalizing immigrants, uncertainty about being able to go through a legal asylum process, and fears of wrongly being picked up by ICE and put in detention. Yet this work has never been more important because healing is not only possible, it's powerful. When we care for survivors, we are not just addressing trauma. We are investing in the strength and the future of our community. Our clients add to the vibrant community here in Ramsey County. They work hard and they contribute to the economy. We could not do this work without partners like Ramsey County. Your ongoing support makes healing possible. Your commitment to mental health, especially for our most vulnerable neighbors, sends a powerful message that everybody deserves dignity, care, and a chance to rebuild. I'd like to acknowledge both Ramsey County Mental Health and the Board of Commissioners. Your support throughout CVT's history has been steadfast and strong, and I'd like to especially acknowledge Commissioner Ortega. You were there at the beginning. You helped launch what has become the world's largest torture survivor rehabilitation organization. So this month, Mental Health Awareness Month, let us remember, access to mental health care is a human right for everybody. Thank you very much. Good morning, Chair Ortega, Commissioners, and County Manager Becker. Thanks for having us here today. I'm Amy Karen on behalf of Public Health here today. So Public Health has the responsibility of prioritizing efforts that are beyond the individual and engage in strategies to set communities up for healthy outcomes, including mental health outcomes. Sometimes efforts that further community mental health are harder to spot. Public Health's Community Health Assessment includes data from 2022 that tells us that nearly 35% of adults in our county report isolation, and 25% report lack of social support. These are similar rates across our adjacent counties. Loneliness and social isolation are determinants of poor mental health. A few examples of how our public health addresses mental health in our communities are some of the following. We work with community partners to promote strategies on belonging and positive culture, research-based protective factors in mental health promotion. Public Health's Mental Health Wellness Action Team partners are here today, including our chair, Dr. Ola, Executive Director of Restoration for All, and leader in African immigrant and refugee communities. This team is community-led and provides connection and healing partnerships that serve our residents across cultural communities. Another example that Public Health addresses mental health issues is Club Mom and Club Dad through our family health, breaking down isolation of new parents and lifting up cultural access and new parenting skills, which aims to reduce adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. This is a determinant of mental illness developed in children by age 14.
Next, our 7 Ramsey County libraries partnered with us to promote culturally diverse books on mental health this month. Mental health is deeply personal, and so are books. We believe public displays of stories featuring mental health can help break down the stigma and open doors to positive identity, belonging, and healing. And one other example we have, mental health coping strategies can include substance misuse. Our community health workers, or CHWs, provide community response and linkages to care as part of the Alternative Response Initiative, or ARI. So these are just a few of the examples we wanted to highlight today. Thank you for your proclamation today.
Yep. Okay. Do you guys, if you want to, we can do a photo and then we can introduce ourselves and then.
Excuse me, we got Commissioner Moran.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for your work and for your service and for your commitment to the community and helping to create a stronger, thriving individuals and families. But if you don't mind if I talk a little bit to you, because you all matter too. And we know the work that you do is very hard, right? And it's really important that we continue to stabilize this workforce, your workforce. And so I just want to thank you for being kind and collaborative and patient and understanding to those that you work and serve. But I also want to say how important it is for you to do that for each other, right? To be kind and collaborative and patient and understanding and give space to each other to be able to sit still when you need to sit still and to say those things out loud so that we can take care of you too, right? Because you are important and continue to, which I know you do, to show up for each other, because that's important in this work that we do around mental health and well-being. It's important that we have a workforce, individuals who's doing this work, who have the commitment and passion for it, to know that you have to take care of each other too. And so I just wanted to say that out loud and to keep pushing, because you matter. You matter. As one who does a lot of work around trauma-informed, to watch your own trauma and your own triggers and the things that may trigger you, right? Because your mental health and well-being is so important to us and to Ramsey County and the people that you work to serve every single day. And so just thank you. Thank you for your work and for your leadership, because you matter. We appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Commissioner Jemison.
Thank you, Chair. I want to echo the words of my colleague, Commissioner Moran, and then also to say I really appreciate that the individuals who are standing there with you are the different aspects of the county that are impacting mental health. So from public health into our social services, case management, the plethora of offices and areas with which you all enter into our mental health continuum of care, right? But also that you're standing with your community partners. Because I think we know, those of us who have walked the journey of supporting individuals who are living with mental illness, that the county isn't always the best place or the place people feel most comfortable interacting with. And the fact that Ramsey County is one very large and important and responsible actor within our ecosystem, but that it's a community of providers, it's a community of faith communities and schools and workplaces and cultural institutions that wrap around individuals and families and lead them to the supports that they need. And so I really am very touched that that is who is all joining you all together, because you all know more than anybody. It's your referral partners, It's who feels comfortable and connects with. So thank you. And also to everybody who is working here at the county, the work that you do is so very difficult. And day after day, it's really hard to stay in this work year after year. And I just appreciate seeing faces that I interacted with when I was a community provider, when I was a family that needed help, and seeing some of these faces still here year after year after year. So you are not only staying and doing the work, but you're mentoring the next generation of people who will step into your spaces as well and join you in that. So thank you so much for that. And thank you also for normalizing that mental health is health, and giving dignity and care to every resident who lives in Ramsey County, and knowing that their stories and their contributions to our community are not only valid and right, but needed and lift us all up. We learn so much from every individual who lives here, and thank you for bringing that message to today.
I like to echo my colleagues' sentiments. Coming from a mental health background, I know what you're going through day to day, and it is exhausting work. And so you need to learn how to hold each other. That's what one of my colleagues way back then used to say, it's okay to call in scared instead of sick. And I used to laugh at that, but it's so true that, sometimes you need to take care of yourself, and that's so terribly important. On another note, I just want to congratulate you on the mental health bus. I know you had you put it into service yesterday or over the weekend, and that's going to be a great asset for the community. You folks are not only now you're mobile. Now you're actually being proactive and going into the community and letting folks know that it's okay. Back in the day, 40 years ago, we used to do mental health out of churches just because of the stigma. You couldn't even work out of the agency. So we've come a long way, and we got to let people know that it's okay to come in and talk about things. So thank you for everything you do. It's tough work, and we know that. Thank you. Pictures?
All right. Can you tell the folks from back? Angled and molded. Sure. All right, take 3 minutes. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. One more. 3, 2.
Thank you. You want to introduce yourself on the way up, please?
Catherine Herrera from Clues. Sophia Thompson, Social Services Director.
Julieta Garcia, Clues. Samantha Lopez, Clues.
Cody Hillstead, Mental Health Center Manager.
You already met me.
Gabrielle McNeil, Deputy Director of Public Health.
Bola Oduloye from Metro Social Services.
Remy Oyekunle, Adult Mental Health Case Manager.
Kennedy from Mental Health Social Services, Case Manager.
Ana Pliego from Clues.
Josh, Executive Co-Director, Seva Asian Indian Family Wellness Program.
Tolulope Ola, Founder and Executive Director of Restoration for All, Inc.
Holly Walters from the Healing Project of Minnesota.
Sarah Cooper, Balanced Natural Health Center.
Good morning, Penny Prema Manishi from NAMI and also Embracing Community Balance.
Anna Hewitt, Ramsey County Social Services.
Amira Carter, Planning Specialist, Mental Health.
Fallon Nguyen, Planning Manager, Social Services.
Sandy Shelton, Social Services.
Charles Goff, Adult Support Manager.
Barbara Tisdale, Mental Health Resources.
Thank you. Commissioner Miller, I believe,
Yes.
administrative agenda.
I would like to move the following administrative items forward. Administrative item number 4, Joint Powers Agreement with Minnesota Department of Public Safety, Bureau of Criminal Apprehension for participation in the Minnesota Anti-Heroin Task Force Program. Item number 5, amendment to the agreement with Reeling Construction Co. Inc. for safety and security barriers in the Adult Detention Center. Item number 6, terms of collective bargaining agreement with Ramsey County Deputy Sheriff's Federation for the years 2025, 2026, and 2027.
I'd like to pull that item.
Terms of collective bargaining agreement with Law Enforcement Labor Services Local 184 Deputy Sheriff Commanders for the years 2025, 2026, and 2027. Item number 8, support for nominations to National Association of Counties 2025 leadership positions.
I'd like to pull that item.
And item number 9, amendment to the minimum assessment agreement for the Ford Site TIF District number 322.
I'd like to pull that item as well, item number 9.
Second. Thank you.
Hearing no discussion, roll call, please.
Miller,
Aye.
Moran, Zhang,
Aye.
Jebin Singh,
Aye.
McGuire is absent, McMurtry,
Aye.
and Ortega.
Aye. Okay, let's take them in the order of which they were pulled.
Number 6, all right. And I was wondering if we could discuss this item. We're good with that?
Move it first.
Can I move to discuss item number 6?
Second.
Okay. I understand that there may be some minor clerical edits in the attachment. I want to ask if Cassie can come to the dais and kind of explain some of that.
Good morning, Chair, Commissioners.
Good morning.
The attachment that was initially included within the RBA when we submitted it for board action has been revised to reflect minor changes based on feedback from our union partner after the request for board action had been submitted. These adjustments identified by the union primarily focus on clarifying the effective date for some of the benefits that have been negotiated, as well as a resolution to a grievance that's included within the tentative agreement.
And all of the edits or clarifying language has been agreed upon. It's just cleaning up the document.
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's,
Can I move that the item be approved with the amended language?
Second.
hearing no further discussion, roll call.
Miller,
Aye.
Moran,
Aye.
Zhang,
Aye.
Jebin Singh,
Aye.
McMurtry,
Aye.
McGuire is absent, and then Ortega.
Aye. Next.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move to discuss item number 8.
Second.
Hearing, go ahead. Let's discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just noticed some incorrect appointments when I was reviewing the RBA, and I just want to make sure that we can have those edits from staff. So can I have staff make edits to this RBA so that the background and rationale section aligns with Board Resolution B2025046 and Board Resolution B2025047?
Second.
Did you get that, Jason?
Yep, I got it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Miller,
Aye.
Moran,
Aye.
Zhang,
Aye.
Jebin Singh,
Aye.
McGuire is absent, McMurtry,
Aye.
and Ortega.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to my colleagues for allowing us to table this over as the City Council discussed this last week. It was really helpful and informative.
You want to move it first?
Yes, I will. Thank you. I would like to move item number 9, amendment to the minimum assessment agreement for the Foresight TIF District number 322.
Second.
Discussion? Go
Thank you. And as I was saying, thank you so much. I appreciated that. It allowed me additional time to just hear both the conversation at the St. Paul City Council as well as hear from our staff about the action that we are taking here at the county level. With that said, may I have Director Pat Chapman just share a little bit more about the action that we are taking here today and how it may differ a little bit more from what the council is doing.
Hi, Pat.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, County Manager Becker. Thank you for talking about this agreement this morning. The first thing I'd like to talk about is the county's role in a minimum assessment agreement. Our role is basically that the county assessor looks at the end agreement and just certifies that those values are reasonable. This agreement was built years ago before COVID, and so it's needed some adjustment over the period, and whenever that happens, then it comes to this body and you guys talk about the adjustments that are made. In this case, it's a kind of a minor adjustment to some properties that are going to build apartments, and the overall adjustments are pretty minor in the whole scheme of the county and the city of St. Paul. The amount of adjustment in total, let me see here. So I did a little spitballing based on one of the questions that Commissioner Zhang had asked. So if we just take a spitball look, now this is not hardcore numbers, this is kind of the project was expected to have $9.6 million in tax in 25, payable 26. That number will be reduced to about $9 million, so about $675,000 in tax for that 1 year, or 7% change. When you compare that to the overall St. Paul levy, that is about 0.0003% of a change in tax. So that's 0.03% change. What this allows is the builder to start immediately to construct the properties. To change this, what it is right now is the parcel is, the minimum assessment agreement assumed that there would be a building on this parcel right now, and there is no building yet. So that's where the adjustment takes place.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Director Chapman, for explaining that and also for taking the time to look at that and provide us those numbers. I also see Councilmember Just over here too. If you'd like to come up, but just want to acknowledge that Councilmember Just is here.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Chair.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Okay. Oh, we need a motion and a second.
So moved.
No, we.
Second.
Thank you. I think we did that.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Miller,
Aye.
Moran,
Aye.
Zhang,
Aye.
Jevin Singh,
Aye.
McGuire is absent, McMurtry,
Aye.
and Ortega.
Aye. Thank you. Let's move forward to, legislative update. Commissioner Moran, I guess that falls on your.
We have a presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Presentation on workforce update. To give you a chance to get ready.
Whichever. Yep. Okay. Okay.
Good morning, Chair Ortega, Commissioners, and County Manager Becker. I'm excited today to provide an update on the county's investment in the workforce by the modernization of the county's compensation and classification system and plans for represented and unrepresented staff. Cassie Fagali, Labor Relations Manager, will recap the process, team members, goals, impacts, and highlights, and I'll close out the presentation with a look ahead. This slide is a great representation of the variety of work performed by county employees. County employees work 24/7, delivering critical services to the community, from connecting residents to assistance and support to maintaining public safety, roads, records, elections, public health, parks and libraries, and so much more. Employees are the work. They carry out the mission every single day. An investment in employees is an investment in the effectiveness, quality, and resilience of services. In a competitive labor market, investing in employees helps retain top talent, reduce turnover, preserve institutional knowledge, and lowers the cost and disruption of constant turnover. Bargaining the 2025 through 2027 labor contracts began in 2024 during leadership transitions across the county. A labor negotiations leadership team was designated to provide continuity during leadership transitions, connecting new leaders with past leaders in supporting and coordinating a successful outcome. This is the leadership team that ensured continuity from an interim county manager, Joanna Berg, to Ling Becker. Deputy County Manager Alex Kutzes stayed involved during the family leave of the interim Chief Financial Officer. The team ensured leadership support, oversight, and guidance to the labor relations negotiating team throughout the bargaining process. Now I'll turn it over to Cassie Fagali.
Good morning again. We are a small but mighty team in labor relations. I lead labor relations as the manager with program specialist Gina Kalis as my right hand, and then we have two labor relations specialists, Wesley DeBerry and Maddie Calgren, as well as an HR program administrator and an intermittent HR program administrator, which have helped us to actualize and implement all of the classification and compensation modernization. Heading into 2025, 2027 negotiations, there was a lot of things for us to consider outside of what's happening here in Ramsey County. We knew that the public sector had seen historic strike votes. We also knew that they were seeing historic wage increases, and there was a lot of pressure being applied to the workforce. As we looked at our core comparators and what they were doing for annual increases, we also knew that those were outpacing what we had been doing in the past years leading up to these negotiations. We heard from our surrounding jurisdictions that they were already considering pretty significant wage increases going into negotiations. And we also felt within Ramsey County that recruitment and retention challenges were impacting our ability to provide core services. So as I transitioned into my role in, I think, early 2024, we began our planning efforts. And we are required under AFSCME's contract to start negotiations in the summer of the year leading up to the expiration of the contract. So we began labor negotiations first with AFSCME and then the other units gradually. In September of 2024, I stood before some of you and discussed what might be necessary for negotiation, and the board determined the authority for negotiations. In December of 2024, we were fortunate to resolve our biggest contract with AFSCME, and those were brought to the board for approval. That meant that in January, we were able to do phase 1 of the classification and compensation modernization, which impacted the vast majority of our employees. And in April of 2025, we settled our last contracts. Union represented employees are a critical part of our workforce here. They make up the vast majority of the employees that we have. There are 21 different labor contracts represented by 7 different unions. Roughly 75% of our county employee population is represented by a union, and over half of those represented employees are in strike-eligible groups. All the new contracts expire on the same day, December 31st, 2027, which meant that they would have expired at the end of 2024, all on the same day. Because we were required to start with AFSCME in July, we had begun in June of 2024 with the plan that we would work towards a 3-year agreement. So negotiations for 25, 26, and 27. Our biggest priority was making sure that we could reach agreement on the classification and compensation modernization, which is a long-standing county goal. It's something pre-COVID. As I started here, people would say, oh, but what's happening with the class and comp? And every meeting I would go into, they would ask about this. So it was something that we were really excited to be able to get across the finish line. The 2022-2024 labor contract, like I mentioned, expired on the 31st, and typically the goal for AFSCME negotiations, which makes up the broad base of our employees, was to have that concluded before Thanksgiving holiday. We finished it the day after Thanksgiving, so we met that goal, or at least pretty dang near. The classification and compensation modernization, like I said, has been a strategic priority as part of the talent attraction, retention, and promotion. There were a lot of things that we knew about what we wanted that classification and compensation structure to look like. And we knew that the way that Ramsey County was built would make it a unique challenge. So what we tried to do is to update classifications to reflect the types of work and to be flexible in the levels of work, but also have some consistency. We wanted to simplify the classification structure. There were roughly 800 plus job classifications prior to the modernization. We've been able to pare that down to roughly 500 or so. Identifying where we're competitive and knowing that we may be competitive in some areas, but not in all, and that we might need to make some changes and adjust things to make sure that we're reflecting what we see outside of Ramsey County. And then building salary structures that balance internal equity with external competitiveness of our core comparators and resolve pay compression issues. Our 9 core comparators, and I have to use my hands to go through them alphabetically, are Anoka, Carver, Dakota, Hennepin, Scott, Washington, the City of St. Paul, the University of Minnesota, and the Met Council. And those were determined as part of the initial move to do the classification and compensation back in 2018, 2019, and has been something that we've really tried to prioritize, that reflecting what's our job market and where we're seeing employees go when they're not staying with us. Highlights from negotiations. I have to say that these were really exciting negotiations. Most of our union partners walked away feeling like they really had a pivotal role in the negotiations and felt like there was that equal give and take, and that we were all pretty satisfied with what we saw. It generated excitement through most of our groups regarding the classification and compensation. So many of my groups had said, when are we going to talk about classification and compensation? Guess what? We're talking about them now, and our intention is to make sure that that's finished in this negotiation, and that that's not something that we have to continue to have conversation about every 3 years. We built trust with many of our labor partners through collaborative and transparent negotiations, and we reached voluntary agreements with all 21 bargaining units without any labor stoppages for our non-essential groups or interest arbitration for our essential groups. It only required mediation for 4 of our bargaining units, and we were able to finish most of those in one mediated session. We settled contracts quickly. The LELS Commander contract, which you just approved today, only took 5 hours. And it was really a productive conversation throughout those entire 5 hours. We successfully avoided a strike by the Teamsters probation officers, and were able to come to an agreement that worked for both parties. As part of the summaries for all of our negotiations, we reached agreement on a general wage adjustment that was applied evenly across all of our collective bargaining agreements as well as our unrepresented employees. So that 3% in 2025, in 2026 there'll be a 3.5% increase, and in 2027 a 4.5% increase. We implemented the classification and modernization in this year for the most part, aside from reduced progression, which will happen next year, and that means the desert of 4 years will go away. Through that, our employees saw an average increase of 2% in 2025 prior to receiving the 3% general wage adjustment. By 2026, time to move between steps will be reduced from 4+ years to 2 years or less for all of our salary plans. So we had some salary plans where an employee may sit for 9, 10, 11 years, depending on how long they had been with the county. But 4 years even felt like too long, right? I often heard it referred to as the desert and the challenges that it presented in order to really retain our employees. So reducing that to 2 years for all of our groups by 2026. We also increased paid parental leave from 3 weeks to 8 weeks, and an additional 8 hours of floating holiday for a total of 16 hours for most of our groups. Some of them already had to and received an additional 8 hours on top of that. Traditionally,
excuse me,
Go ahead.
Cassie. Maisha?
Yep. Thank you so much for just summarizing all of this too. I know that it wasn't always like smooth sailing all the time, right? But I'm really glad that the team went in to listen about what the bargaining groups had wanted and had agreed on several of those items, including the desert. That was one that we had heard consistently from folks. And essentially what was happening was, Ramsey County was like training people in, basically, or giving the experience to folks and then moving on, which did not help us to retain, a lot of the talent or a lot of the investments that we had already provided. So thank you for going in. And this is a model that I would encourage us to continue to do in negotiations, is going in to listen.
Commissioner Moran?
Yeah, I just want to echo Commissioner Zong's sentiment about going into negotiation and really making salary more comparable to our surrounding areas, because we were losing staff training and then they go on to other places. But I want to do a really big shout out in all this negotiation on the increased paid parental leave from 3 weeks to 8 weeks. I think that's a huge win for Ramsey County and the staff, especially, mothers, of course, but also fathers, to have more time off for parental leave. So, good work. Good job.
Happy we were able to reach agreement on all of those things. It was really exciting. One of the things that we know historically is that Ramsey County traditionally maintains comparable pay and benefits between our union represented employees and our non-represented employees. And so what I brought forward in December of 2024 was phase 1 of the classification and compensation modernization for our non-represented employees, not on performance-based salary plans. The December 2024 request for board action also included the same wage adjustments that I mentioned previously. So in 2025, 3%, in 2026, 3.5%, and in 2027, 4.5%. It also increased paid parental leave for those employees from 3 to 8 weeks and added an additional 8 hours of floating holiday. Phase 2 of the classification and compensation modernization for our non-represented job classifications assigned to performance-based salary plans is targeted to be completed by June 30th of 2025 and brought to you folks for your consideration. And I think that will be the finish line that we'll be passing as we move forward with getting onto a very modern structure. Ling likes to refer to this, County Manager Becker, as keeping our closet clean, and I think that that's a really good way to talk about it. We've made a lot of progress, but we want to make sure that that progress is maintained. And so there's 2 key pieces that we want to continue to do as we work to keep our closet clean. Part of that is going to be conducting market studies on a regular routine basis. So we want to make sure that our compensation reflects those local public sector labor markets where we are competing for employees. Regular reviews will ensure that we maintain our competitiveness with the labor market and account for changes in conditions and trends. Currently, the compensation team is developing a plan for reoccurring market studies for each of our job classifications at least every 3 years that uses data from a variety of sources and includes those 9 core comparators I mentioned earlier. Sometimes that's going to be applicable, sometimes that's not. University of Minnesota probably doesn't have all the job classifications we do, and so in those situations, we'll use those other sources to make sure that we're on par.
Excuse me, Cassie. Garrison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Out of curiosity, where do we currently stand as we compare our pay and benefits to our other core comparators?
We like to think about our compensation as a total rewards package, right? And when we think about it in those sort of sense, we are not at the top of the market, but we're positioned nicely right in the middle as a competitive, or slightly more than the middle, competitive entity that is able to offer a lot of other attractive perks, not just wages, right, but a really quality health insurance plan and solid other benefits that our employees can access. And I think that the 8 weeks of paid parental leave also really goes far in attracting those employees.
And one quick follow-up. Were there any, just in the negotiations or just in your research looking at a lot of our comparatives, were there any benefits in particular that you've seen from other counties that you think would be beneficial for us to consider bringing here as we think of recruiting and retaining a lot of our talent?
We've started to kind of expand what we think of in terms of benefits. There is potential for us to look at student loan benefits. The other thing that we do know is that we made a lot of changes to our benefit structure in 2024, which really met the needs of younger employees and employees without families as we created the benefit structure that we have with the 4 tiers versus the 2 tiers and offering a variety of different health insurance plans. So it wasn't just this really rich insurance plan that was expensive for an employee who might not need it. And offering alternatives to meet the needs of new employees as they come into the workforce. As it relates to the market studies, the plan that they're developing right now is going to consider the time that is needed for it because this is not an easy thing. We're not comparing apples to apples in all cases. So being able to say, okay, that job class looks very similar to this job class, even though they might not be the same, and then identifying if that is really going to impact our competitiveness, and then also timing it with contract negotiations, right? We want to make sure that we're being really thoughtful as we walk into negotiations where we're going to be able to say we've already done all of the work on this and we know where we're sitting in the market. The other big thing that we're going to have to be tackling is ongoing audits. So currently we're developing a plan for reoccurring compensation maintenance audits for employees within each job classification. So we know that the job classification is competitive, but do we know that the employees that are in the job classification are being compensated competitively? So they're going to review the consistency of internal compensation and ensure employees in similar positions with comparable skills or experience are receiving fair compensation. That it contributes to a positive public perception, and it's good for our health long term, and we think about financial responsibility. It also directly impacts our ability to attract, retain, and motivate talented employees, because if you know you're coming in, you want to make sure that you're being compensated fairly, but also the people around you are being compensated fairly.
Excuse me, Cassie. Commissioner
In regards to compensations, you know, one other thing I didn't highlight in negotiation summaries was the move between steps, right? I think it's really huge. Do you see that some type of alignment in that piece?
We tried to be mindful of the placement and the fairness of folks as we moved through negotiations. Most folks were placed on the step closest to, but not less than, though in some situations, we had to be able to pivot and be flexible, because you might have employees who were out of public works where they were sitting on a step for 9, 10, 11 years, and it's really difficult to maintain that balance when you have employees who have been sitting for 5 years and some that have been sitting for 9. So we tried to be flexible, and as we worked in human resources to kind of figure out how we move forward, we're really focusing and honing in on where those balances are so that we can continue to maintain them.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Member.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With the audits, is there a plan in place for like the cadence of when the board will review the audits that you all come up with? Just want to get a sense of how often you'll be sharing us the feedback you've received from those reviews.
We haven't gotten that far yet. I think we're still working to build it. The goal right now is that we'll be able to say that we did the first review of everyone by December 31st, 2026. But that assumes a couple things, right? And so we want to make sure that we're being really thoughtful and taking our time. But once we have a better plan in place, I think that's something that we'll definitely be able to bring forward for you folks. I think that's all I have, so unless there are questions, I'll turn it over to Kristen.
Well, let me just say now, thank you, Cassie. You did a very good job. I think it's important, that moving forward, I think we've established a good baseline with the unions. I mean, it's never going to be easy by nature. You know, you got various interests trying to melt together. But, you know, we've done interest-based bargaining in the past, and it's worked well. And I'm hoping that we get back on that track, because we got the same goals with the employees. And I think we've taken a good step forward. While the details and the content are important, that relationship is even more critical as we move forward. So thank you for your good work.
Oh, I just want to say that one of the things that's been direct feedback in community, so District 1 has a number of our contract cities, and hearing from community the importance of public safety, the satisfaction they have with the services that they're getting and the support they have, and getting support from our cities themselves and community members to make sure we're competitive. With the other market, within our market, right? So I just want to say that I appreciate that was heard, so that even though this is an investment into our workforce, it's an investment. It's a worthwhile investment, and it's one that is reflective of what the community has asked us to make sure that we're retaining talent. So thank you.
So this is our final slide, looking ahead. Just some reminders about the importance of the investment. Ultimately, investing in employees is an investment in the future success, sustainability, and impact of the organization. Ramsey County is an organization of nearly 4,000 employees who deliver critical services, solve complex challenges, and meet the evolving needs of residents every single day. As the county invests and prioritizes the workforce, a foundation of trust and loyalty is built that can withstand change, disruption, and uncertainty. This ensures residents receive the services that they need. Paying for employee investments is a major part of this county's budget, and those expenses ultimately will impact the tax levy. The county manager's budget is being prepared and will be presented to you by County Manager Becker in August. These investments will be reflected in that budget and impact the tax levy as a critical cost in doing business as an organization.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. This has been expressed already too, but as part of the investment and the impact to our levy is that it's just so important that when we have good morale and that our staff are invested into both the mission of the organization, that's when we get good quality services. And when we aren't doing that and we aren't investing in our staff, then that's when we get staff who are just trying to put out fires every single day and not looking ahead and looking for ways that we can increase revenue and not just depend on the levy, and to really look at where we can be able to pull in additional resources. And I would just want to give the example of like how it really matters from leadership is seeing the bigger picture and making sure that we're doing everything we can to support staff, but also to bring in those dollars that could be reimbursed, that we're not relying on just the levy. So I just want to name that and really want to thank County Manager Becker, your leadership and holding the fort down and also bringing leadership to give a bigger picture and direction. And that example is one of Men Choices assessment, where we're like, hey, we can get reimbursements, and we don't have to rely on the levy for this. So those are just some of the clear examples of how leadership really matters here too. And as we go into talking about non-represented employees, we should definitely think about that, but also that our leadership can only go so far as the frontline workers. Mm-hmm. So I really want us to consider that for the non-represented employees, for the comps for the pay and benefits. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's move forward. Legislative update, Commissioner Moran.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. That was a really good workship and shows the great investment that Ramsey County has made into employees and retaining and growing our staff here in Ramsey County. So the legislative session ended yesterday at midnight, but not quite. So, but we did adjourn last night. They did adjourn last night without completing their work, just like most of us thought would happen over the last few months. The Budget Committee that impacts our work the most have completed their work and are on their way to the governor's for its signature. They are the state and local government who completed their work, veterans, housing, public safety, and judiciary. I'm excited to say that we have our EDA authorization in the state and government bill, so that will become law. We also had our youth treatment home extension language in the public safety budget bill, so that too will become law. So 2 wins, 2 great wins that we needed. And those who did not finish their work on time, that county that we care a lot about includes Health and Human Services, the K-12 education, job and workforce development, taxes, and transportation, including bonding. I'm told by government relations staff that the legislative working groups are supposed to start today, wrap up their work this week yet, and we will see what happens. And so a lot of negotiations are going to happen right now behind closed doors. And once those have all come together in agreement, a special session will be called so that they can complete that work. Some of our most important funding issues are in these remaining bills, including our county program aid. We're looking to really do some hard work to update our computer system, which is SSIS. Any cost shifts to counties in the Health and Human Service bills, we're hoping that that does not happen. A possible bonding bill and change to transportation funding are still to come. On a federal level, Republicans are aiming for a House passage of the budget reconciliation bill before Memorial Day weekend. This is the so-called big, beautiful bill that advances Trump legislative agenda. This includes Medicaid work requirements, new out-of-pocket costs on low-income Medicaid enrollees, which will have a great impact on poor people. Expanded work requirement for certain SNAP recipients, and an increased state and county administrative cost share. Once the House passes the whole package, the Senate will work through June to modify the House-passed version or according to its own reconciliation process. On the positive side, the bill preserves the tax exemption for municipal bonds, which is very important for local government. And lastly, Congress must pass a budget bill before the end of September. And we will see how it all goes at the federal level. And I just want to say, for people who are listening here, for community and folks back out who are working every day hard, who are struggling with health issues and families and just trying to maintain their livelihood, is that change happens when ordinary, everyday people use their voice and stand up. And if we have any conscience of what could happen and the impact this will have on ordinary, everyday people, I just want to say to those listening here, we need your voice. We need you to be present. We need you to contact your legislators. We need to do a lot of things. That means, writing, protesting, standing up, whatever that is. Change happen when we hear your voices. So we are at that moment in time, and we need your voice more than ever, because we cannot do this alone without you being a part of the solution, because really, in reality, you are the solution. So please stand up. And with that,
I'll get to you in a minute, Garrison. Besides the Medicaid impacts, some of the analysis that I've read, and I don't know where all this lies, and I don't know where we get information locally, but the impact of this tax bill, the hits, when we look at families that are making 40,000, let's say a family for 40, 50,000, all the way down to 17,000, individual 17, this tax bill hits them tax-wise harder than it hits us around the table. And that's a story that's not being told, because I am focused on mitigating those impacts because of where we sit. But when I was reading some of that analysis on the tax bill, I was surprised how big the impact is to those that make less money, and it just seems, so unfair. Yeah. Anyway, just my commentary. I need to follow up and see where we could get more information regarding the tax impacts to individuals. I had a hand up. Oh, Garrison, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will make this quick. I just want to, although the session isn't completely over and we're heading to a special, just want to thank our government affairs team, Jen and Jolie and Amy, for all of their effort being up at the Capitol late nights doing this amazing work to not only get a lot of these things hopefully passed through, but to also just help tell the stories of the people who are going to be impacted by the decisions that our legislators make. And so huge thank you to all of you for your efforts and continued efforts as we enter the special session. Also, I just want to give a special shout out as we celebrate the passage of EDA to Commissioner Zhang for her continued efforts to work with multiple stakeholders to get this across the finish line. And so this is in part not only the amazing work from our GA team, but your leadership on this topic. So thanks all around, and more work to be done.
Commissioner Shine?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to talk about, we're talking about our EDA, our Economic Development Authority bill. Just has no tax impact. We're just asking for permission from the state to be able to use our current HRA levy to support business programming. And so that, Commissioner McMurtry, thank you so much for your partnership and leadership in this too. When it seemed like it was going to be a challenge of not getting it into the bills from both the Senate and the House, we rallied up support from community members. And so I want to list them off too. And this was at the Eastside Area Business Association, the Minnesota Hmong Chamber of Commerce, Hmong American Partnership, even Southeast Community Organization, the Cambodian American Partnership of Minnesota, St. Paul and Minnesota Foundation, the African Economic Development Solutions, Latino Economic Development Center, the Rice Larpenter Alliance, the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce, and several small businesses, as well as the Santa Foundation. These are all folks that when we made the call and asked, they provided letters of support and signed on to a letter. And so as Commissioner Moran stated, using your voices, just talking about the issues that matter to you goes such a long ways. And I really want to appreciate and lift up the deep partnership that our community organizations have with us, that when we made the call and asked, that they responded. And this made the biggest impact and difference. So thank you.
Thank you for your good work. You've been at this for a couple of years now. Good job. Okay, where are we? We're in County Connections.
Yeah, I have some great news to share, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. On Tuesday, May 13th, our IS security team received a first place finish in cyber sports, Capture the Flag event that happened at Secure 360 Security Summit. So it's a very rigorous competition. They did things including reconnaissance, reverse engineering, forensics, web exploration, cryptography. Our team competed against other organizations like the Minnesota Judicial Branch, the Met Council, and we won first place. So very excited for that team. Those folks were Cam Berklin, Nate Ristein, Matt Starlin, Josh Seward, and Matt Wold. And they were supported by Stacy Kaiser, our CISO, and Nick Mellum. So congrats to that team. That's really exciting to get a first place. And I think we all feel more safe around our cyber technology with those folks leading our team. This is the time of year, I know it's a rainy day today, but our Volunteers in Corrections program was actually started in 1970 as part of a volunteer probation officer program. In 1980, it got changed to Volunteers in Corrections, and they're made up of over 100 volunteers dedicated to providing programming at the community corrections facilities and with some of our clients. One of the biggest things they do is a plant sale every year. So there's lots of plants for sale over at the our location at the correctional facility, 297 Century Avenue South, Maplewood. The sale goes throughout most of May, but they have a lot of things on sale this weekend, 25 to 33% off than compared to where you would get at most nurseries and things, and supports a really good cause, hanging baskets, flats, veggies, perennials, so please check that out. And then lastly, I know Commissioner Moran's going to bring a proclamation to this event on Friday, but wanted to just lift up Guns Down, Love Up. It's a youth summit on gun violence. I know some of our team, Elijah Holloway Norris will be a part of it, as well as Gloria Reyes. There are lots of our public health team, but it's really focused on helping young people lead some panels and workshops on gun violence, have restorative justice circles, and have some mental health and mindfulness sessions. So that's happening on Friday at Metro State University. So you can Google Guns Down, Love Up if you're looking for some information on how to attend that event. Thank you.
Thank you. Mai-Jean?
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just pulling this sheet up. I just lost it. I wanted to lift up the work of the St. Paul Children's Collaborative. This is one that Commissioner Moran and I both sit on. We just released our RFP for community organizations to apply. It's about $2 million, and community organizations are encouraged to apply for a 2-year funding. And this year we added the emphasis on multi-generational work, or at least two-generational work that involves both youth and parents, or adults in the youth lives, to reach our youth outcome plan and goals of ensuring that youth have connected adults in their lives, ensuring that they're reading by grade at grade level by third grade, have access to both healthcare and/or dental care, and are thriving. So those are some of the goals that we have. So any organizations that meet those goals and also work with a two-gen approach are encouraged to apply. In addition to that, earlier last week, I participated and was a chef, a judge for a cooking competition. This was sponsored by the Ramsey and Washington Energy and Recycling Center. They partnered with the U of M Extension. And I was invited to be a judge because youth from the Urban Village, it's an organization that focuses predominantly on Karen youth, were there, and they were very serious. They had 4 teams, and they all presented 4 different dishes to be evaluated, and the goal was to use traditional dishes and try to make it healthier. And so it was very flavorful. It was very hard. Ultimately, we had one winner, and so that was really great to just be a part of. The other one I want to highlight is, the continued support and leadership of our public health department in supporting our office while we are facing an issue of pollution on the east side. And I've been urging and asking about what can we do as public health leaders, because we are public health commissioners too, and so I wanted our department to really lead on that, especially in areas of pollution, areas of concentrated pollution there. And so our team will be working towards providing soil testing, HEPA vacuum rentals, continuing to provide the targeted education and outreach, and soil remediation and advocacy for the area there. So I just really want to appreciate the leadership of our environmental health department, along with our director of public health, Amy Karen, Deputy County Manager Karen Francois, and County Manager Becker for supporting in this, as well as convening and pulling together both the MPCA and then also encouraging Department of Human Services, Health and Human Services, to be a part of the conversation and supporting residents here on the east side. Thank you.
Commissioner.
All righty. I will just say that I had an opportunity this last week with a couple of different groups to be looking at some of the partnerships between our cities and the county as far as some of our infrastructure projects. So I took a tour around the White Bear Lake for the Lake Links project, and there's multiple jurisdictions that are working on completing that project. And as a former marathon runner, I know some of the dicier spots around that lake when you are just with traffic. So it's exciting to see all the different municipalities and county projects that are working on closing that off, as well as the County Road J and 35E intersection. There's different work that's going up in the township. So that was great to see our county and city and township and different multiple counties in that neck of the woods working together and engaging with community, and seeing past engagement events folded into the work and how it was responded and how the design of projects were responding to community. So that's great. I will say that County Manager Becker and I last night were at the City of Shoreview for a workshop talking about different projects and initiatives impacting the city and the county, and building those continued relationships and making sure that we're all working together, especially during these really turbulent times. I was honored to witness the Suburban Ramsey County Law Enforcement ceremony last week with Commissioner McGuire, honoring our fallen officers and also those who continue to show up to keep us safe, and the families that stand with them. So that was a beautiful ceremony and a time to connect and honor that work and to lift up the Mounds View Choir that was there. These young voices were so very moving, and it was lovely to see them engaging in understanding civic responsibilities and how what happens in their greater community and their responsibility to be part of that fabric too. This month is Mental Health Awareness Month. This morning I snuck over to Minneapolis in the rain and the traffic because I wanted to stand with our partners at Vail Communities. They had their donor appreciation event. It was lovely to see Ramsey County employees there as well, recognizing that this is one of our community ecosystem people. And what Vail Communities does is it's a people-centered, it's led by, it's peer support and led by individuals living with severe mental illness. It's a place of agency, a place of reducing that isolation that was discussed earlier during the proclamation today. And I also had a chance earlier to meet with NAMI Ramsey County representatives, again, just reiterating the importance of Ramsey County working in this greater system support throughout the county. And then a little bit of fun, I will say, even though it was cold, there was a number of events where we had outreach, Ramsey County outreach and community. I was at the Train Like a Hero at Battle Creek and the Touch a Truck in Perry Park and Arden Hills, and got to see our sheriff's office and different support services out there interacting with community. And then also had a chance to stop by the Shoreview Garden Club's plant sale. So lots going on even though it's been cold. So it's good to see folks out in community.
Gavison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of things here. Last week I had a chance to speak at the CEO Next graduation. This business support program is in partnership with Hennepin, Ramsey, Dakota, Scott, and Carver counties, and provides different, practical tools and techniques for small business owners, specifically those with less than 100 employees. Just a great time to connect with a number of these small business owners, and the program itself, I think, is more than just, an educational journey for those entrepreneurs. Is also a really powerful step towards securing, an economic future not only for the counties but also for our communities. And so it was an honor to be a part of that event, and a huge thank you to our Ramsey County team, Josh and Fabio, for their amazing work leading with that effort. And then two things that I'll just end with today. I want to extend a huge thank you to my interim aide, Matt Hill. He will be transitioning out of my office and back to the sheriff's office, but just wanted to thank him for being so helpful in getting my office set up after my special election in February. He has served for previous county commissioners, and so it was great to have him on the team and provide just a breadth of knowledge and counsel as I enter into this role. And so I'm truly grateful for all of his help and wish him all the best as he continues to serve this community with his role in the sheriff's office. And with Matt's departure, I'm also excited to welcome my new aide, Dua Yang Hernandez. Dua was born and raised in St. Paul. Her career has really been dedicated to community service and engagement. Following her work in nonprofit education and higher education, she most recently served as the senior legislative aide to former St. Paul City Council President Mitra Jalali. And so I am excited to have Dua continue her public service and to St. Paul and to Ramsey County with joining my office. So heartfelt thank you to Matt, and welcome to Dua.
Kelly?
Yeah, that's great. It's exciting to hear. So on Friday, I attended the Union Gospel Mission, their annual Gala of Hope. It was a very powerful evening celebrating stories of individuals who have overcome homelessness and addiction through the support from the mission's transformative programming. Yesterday, I also want to note, Ling, Commissioner Becker, or County Manager Becker, I did attend the plant sale on Saturday at the Ramsey County Correctional Facility. very reasonable priced hanging baskets. So I have a beautiful hanging basket outside my house and started my own garden. First year, fingers crossed it doesn't die. But I was able to buy veggies from them, so definitely recommend checking that out. Yesterday, I was honored to speak at the Native American Indian Day on the Hill at the Capitol. It was a really meaningful opportunity to stand alongside other Native leaders and advocates in support of policies that really uplift and empower our communities. The Workforce Innovation Board, Governing Board met yesterday, and we met and passed or approved the appointment and reappointment of 16 members. So this is a critical step in continuing to strengthen our regional workforce, strategies, and partnerships. I have a couple of other updates, so I'm excited to share a couple of recent opportunities that will support me. I applied to be a part of the Convergence Compass pilot program, cohort program through NACO. It's an 11-week virtual program hosted by Convergence Center for Policy Resolution in partnership with NACO. This is the first cohort that they're doing, so it brings together county leaders from across the country to build skills in conflict resolution, effective dialogue, and collaborative problem solving, so it's pretty exciting. And then I also applied to the State Tribalship Partnership Committee, which is a statewide committee that was established through a $2.5 million federal grant awarded to the Children's Justice Initiative in partnership with the Minnesota Department of Human Services and Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe. So the committee is working to strengthen collaboration between state, local, and tribal nations to improve child welfare outcomes for American Indian children. So the focus is on culturally appropriate strategies to support safety, family preservation, and long-term well-being. And finally, I'm going to end with this weekend. There is a Yampa Spring Wind Celebration this Saturday at the Battle Creek Pavilion. The event is to welcome the return of the Yampa Spring Dakota, the Dakota Spring Wind of the East. It'll start with it'll also be a community celebration that is grounded in healing, renewal, and indigenous creativity. So there'll be a nibby or a water walk that begins at 8:30, and then we'll go till about 11, and then at 11 they'll continue on with art, food, storytelling, and hands-on activities. There's more information and some protocol tips on our website. And miigwech.
Thank you.
Wow.
Rena?
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to start off by celebrating small business. Ramsey County, Golden Time had a ribbon cutting last week. Golden Time now have two locations. They have a Golden Time Restaurant and Bar that is located at 934 Shelby Avenue, which they held a ribbon cutting there. They're open from 11 to 9. And then they also have a Golden Time Cafe that is located at 856 Selby Avenue, open from 6:30 to 4. And so I mention that because we know in these times and days, small businesses are struggling. You know, for a small business to start anywhere at this time is always difficult. And so, and as we know, if you're going to be a small business, you got to survive the first 3 years. So if you're in the area, stop by, eat some food, get some coffee. It's always about the ambiance and just showing up and talking to community folks. So congratulations to the Rondo Land Trust on their leadership in really elevating small businesses, specifically and not only, but on Selby Avenue. Want to highlight that as a member of Heading Home Ramsey County Continuum of Care, I'm excited to share that we held our election last week at our governing board, and I will be the incoming chair of Heading Home Ramsey County Continuum of Care. Working in partnership with St. Paul is what we've done, have done for, I guess, maybe always. And Heading Home Ramsey County is the work that we do around homelessness, and be working in partnership with Councilwoman Johnson, who is the vice chair, going into July. Very excited about our work ahead and looking at our priorities of how we're going to support, whether it's homelessness, supportive housing, or the end continuum of home ownership. There's a lot of work that we need to do in figuring out how we can stabilize our youth and adults our young boys, our young girls, children and families, and individuals. So there's a lot of work ahead in that area. Let's see here. I want to talk about our county board. Last week we held our Ramsey County board, and what a good time just to be able to do that and do that in partnership and relationship with our county leadership and our staff. Just want to lift up our new, can we still call you new county manager, Becker, who is just leading in very innovative, strategic ways of leading our county forward in the hard work ahead. But it was really good to spend the day together, strategizing and really becoming informed of where we've been and also where we want to go and what that can look like together. And finally, I just want to say congratulations to our county manager, Lean Becker, who was recognized at the Friends on the Lawn annual fundraiser at St. Paul College. Don't look at me like that, County Manager Becker. It was awesome to have you recognized for your leadership and your partnership that has happened between Ramsey County and St. Paul College. You were honored, and it was just an achievement of your being and how you see this work in relationship to others, whether it's St. Paul College, whether it's through the private sector, the public sector, across counties. Your leadership is inspiring. And so congratulations for your recognition for the Friends on the Lawn annual fundraiser, which is St. Paul College. That's it.
I want to echo that. Ling received the Partner of the Year award by St. Paul College. I've been attending that event, I don't know, a dozen years now.
Yeah.
Through 3 presidents. And I got to tell you that having talked to a lot of folks in the room, Ling is truly a superstar in that setting. Everybody was just congratulating me for Ling receiving the award. She does bring a lot of credit to Ramsey County. And I just want to echo what everybody's saying. It was great. You well deserved it. But that's, it's not surprising. You, as the workforce director, you built through the years, you really worked hard at building partnerships. Also, want to highlight the board retreat. I thought it was good. I hope you all thought it was good. We do this every year, and it's a time to, I think the second time around, you're more in, it's a new experience, right, for you. So I think the next time around, it'll be even better. I know I learned a lot from you folks. It's good to sort of be outside of work and just bounce back ideas and so forth. Mm-hmm. So that was good. The other thing I want to highlight is I attended the Hispanic Caucus for NACO. And of course, on top of the list is, in terms of the agenda, is the Medicaid issue, immigration.
Yep.
And also and I don't know if it's real or not, but the sense that we really got to be strong advocates at NACO. Mm-hmm. That's their sense. I have good relationships with a lot of commissioners around the country of both parties. Sometimes I don't get, I know there are folks with extreme views, but in general, I think we need to be good advocates, and mm-hmm. I think we will prevail on most of the issues. We will now, it's 10:30. We have an HRA meeting, but then we have a workshop after this.
Mr. Chair, could I
Yes, go ahead.
One last thing that I forgot that I know our county manager talked about, but I just want to just reiterate again that Guns Down, Love Up is hosting their annual convening on Friday, and just want to talk a little bit about it because the focus is on youth. When we talk about stopping gun violence, we have to be talking to the community, but we also need to be engaging them in a solution of what that looks like. So I just want to mention their mission is Gun Down, Love Up is dedicated to ending gun violence through community engagement, education, and empowerment. They strive to foster resilience and create strong support networks that uplift individuals and families impacted by community and gun violence, with a particular focus on the African American and Native communities. Through healing, advocacy, and collective action, they say we are building stronger, more connected communities where love, justice, and peace thrive. And I just want to reiterate that because if we're going to create change, it has to be done through a love lens. So love is it's very powerful. So kudos to them. I will be speaking at that conference on Friday, and I just look forward to getting to know and build stronger relationship with our youth who's doing this
Great.
work.
We have an HRA meeting. After that, we have a workshop. Commissioner Moran, you are chairing that workshop on racial and health equity. And we're on, not bad, we're only 8 minutes late. We are adjourned.